All right, so I wanted to do a quick breakdown of what I do for my meditation. So I actually just finished one. It's early in the morning. And so I do my meditation setup basically in a relatively free flowing way. I combine a few different practices. And by doing that, I create a bit more freedom for myself and a little bit more purpose and functionality rather than feeling like I'm following some arbitrary rules that aren't necessarily getting me the benefit or trying to willpower myself through keeping my mind focused. I let my mind go where it needs to and use the tool that works according with that. So you'll see here I've got my Muse device, which definitely isn't required, but is a nice tool. And that Muse device is a basically measures your brain waves and sees how your brain's functioning. So it gives you some feedback after. I think it's like $300. So it's a nice tool, but definitely not necessary for everyone. Then over here, you'll see I've got my journal. I've got some note cards. I've got another pile of papers there, a couple of notes here. And so each of the different things that I've got here, the notes are basically reminders or cues. So if I'm feeling like I'm not getting focused, I'll use those sometimes. So I've got some that are some simple mantras or affirmations or whatever that I can use, things that I want to reinforce. So one is relentless. So I want to be relentless in my business and family life. Ruthlessly eliminate hurry. I want to get rid of hurry in my life, which is part of why I'm doing the meditation. Anything, any little cue or little reminder that I want to use to get myself focused. Then you see the journal. Right now, the journal's actually pretty empty. I've got some fear work I was doing here. So I basically wrote down each line of those is a belief that I was stuck on. And so I was going to journal through it, and I actually ended up not needing to at that point. I probably will at some point, but basically I'm going very free flowing, letting my brain come up with any fears or any hesitations or beliefs that are getting in my way. And then I write it down, and then I might journal deeper through it. Today, I actually only did this one little section here, and that was all I focused on. And then I've got this note card, which has actually notes for this video. That's something that came up. So oftentimes I'll put to-dos down on a note card to get them out of my head so they're not bouncing around. This other one's a couple of administrative to-dos I have to do. And then the pile down at the side is some journaling on time scarcity because I've been dealing with the feeling of time scarcity a lot. So basically, I've got these different tools and I let my brain go where it's going to go. So I don't force myself to finish dealing with each of these limiting beliefs. It takes time to deal with that stuff. And sometimes just even getting the fact that this thing is causing fear for you or causing issues for you out is enough. So you're basically letting your brain go where it goes. In general, my normal structure is I'll spend about 3 minutes sitting and focusing on my breath. So I'll either go 4 seconds in, 7 seconds hold, 8 seconds out, following a 4-7-8 pattern, or a 7-7 pattern where you go 7 seconds in, 7 seconds out for 7 rounds. Or I might just focus on one of those affirmations or mantras. So I might just be saying in my head, relentless, relentless, and just watching that almost like it's moving around like the old school screensavers and letting that go through my head. So basically, I've got that going for about 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes it's only 1 minute, and then some random thoughts are going to start popping up. So I'll either grab a note card from my little stack here beside the bed or beside the spot where I'm sitting, and I'll either grab those note cards and start writing some of the to-dos down, or if it's more journaling stuff, more limiting beliefs and fears, I'll start journaling them in my little composition notebook. So I'm basically just going, whatever comes to my mind. It might be fears, it might be just stuff I have to do, it might be organizing a framework for something for the business or some kind of teaching framework. I'm just getting all of that stuff out and I just throw it down in one of those two locations. If it's more like a throwaway thing, I'll put it usually in the journal. If it's something I want to keep and use later, then I'll usually put it on a note card so I can take it with me. So I'll grab that one note card today and bring that with me. So a couple other notes to keep in mind. So I'll just grab my notes here and make sure I've got everything. So the main purpose here is mental head clearing. So it's essentially like I'm trying to let my brain process and let my brain get rid of all the junk. So I'm not trying to focus, although there is a piece of it where I will do that, where I'm actually actively trying to keep my focus on the breath to train that willpower skill. But the bigger part is that I'm clearing all the junk out of my head. So meditation, giving yourself that free time. It's like when you go have a shower and you get all these ideas. You're giving your brain time to process, time to have that clean out. I think of it very similar to the way computers, when you need to clear out your computer, you get your computer set up and it runs its process and it cleans out all the junk files. It creates folders or partitions and organizes things. It's basically getting all of that clutter that's bouncing around in your mind that's got nowhere to go, and you're organizing it so that it's not just bouncing around in your head and distracting you from everything else you should be doing. Since starting doing this, I've actually spontaneously reduced my calories by 500 calories per day. I was having pretty bad cravings for a while, and I think it was just due to uncontrolled stress and overthinking. And this has significantly reduced that. So we've got a huge benefit there. I'm noticing my stress levels lower. I'm less reactive to stress. And basically, just overall, I feel better now that I've been doing it. I've actually started to look forward to it now. It took me a little bit to get into the habit where I was willing to spend that time on it. And yeah, that's essentially the big benefits with it. Sometimes I will go for a walk first to get my head cleared, actually almost always, because I find if I go for a walk and listen to something that's motivational or personal development based, it usually will help me get more focused rather than sitting down immediately from something chaotic and trying to sit down and focus. So oftentimes I'll go for that walk first. Sometimes I'll do it after a workout as well. And there are times where I'm so scattered and so stuck in an urgency mindset that I'll actually sit down and I'll say, I don't have time for this. I'll literally put on 3 minutes. And usually by the end of 3 minutes, I've got a little bit less urgency. So I'll go 5 minutes, or I might go 8 minutes. I did one the other day that was 5 minutes, then 7 minutes, then 8 minutes, basically just jumping up the intervals till I got to my 20 minutes. That's something else to know. I do 20 minutes typically. That seems to be about the right amount of time to get that breath focus, get out some journaling, and then finish off with some breath or mantra focus. And yeah, it doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be anything woo-woo, or you don't have to clear your mind as a lot of people think you do. It's really about giving your brain that chance to process and that chance to get rid of a lot of the junk in there. If you're an overthinker like me, you don't get much of that time. If you're constantly going, you never get a chance to organize and to process. So this is basically that chance. The biggest thing is just to make sure you're not attached to any specific outcome of having everything finished that you start journaling, because you will most likely, if you're anything like me, come up with a million different things, and just let them sit there until they come up the next time. Your brain, by bringing it up, is bringing you to the most important thing. So once you've got it written down, if it doesn't come up again, then don't worry about it. If you're noticing it's coming up, spend some time actually journaling it. Once in a while, I will journal after this, but for the most part, I'm just doing the 20 minutes and then a very quick morning intention setting, goal setting for the day, where I just create my to-do list and my intentions for the day. And that's about it. So that is how I meditate. That's how I avoid the painful process of trying to control my mind. Instead, I just let my mind go and let it organize and clear. And I've been noticing massive benefits. So I hope we get the same for you. One other thing to note, I will often also do some lacrosse ball work. I sit against the wall there, and oftentimes I'll have a lacrosse ball going through my back to loosen up there. So there's also nothing wrong with that. Just focusing on the breath, focusing on whatever it is you're writing down, or that release work.